Good morning again, Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and I'm bringing another video to you on a subject that's interesting to me. It might be of interest to you or someone you know, and this is an interesting feature of surveillance, actually connected to another idea. Many of my videos like to connect ideas together and explore the intersection point, but there's a pretty well-known trade-off with surveillance where using cameras can sometimes have a diminishing return or reverse effect. That is to say, things become less good as a result. I mean, the idea is to protect yourself, right, as a property owner or a business manager or whoever, a school administrator, etc. And putting up cameras can sometimes be a deterrent for bad behavior, and it can also give you recourse in the event of an incident. But there's something, actually a revelation I just had, and I want to just make a mental note on this video, and if it helps someone else, great, but this is just a note because I don't want to forget this idea. Now, it ties in with the idea that one person is going to logically have a job to do. So hear me out. When there's a job to be done, it breaks down into logical components where it just makes sense that parts of it belong to a particular task or person. And when it comes to surveillance, at the very least, what you're doing by putting up a camera in your home or in someone else's home or in a facility or whatever, it doesn't make any difference where, you're creating a situation where it becomes immediately questionable whose job it is to decide what is good behavior. Hear me out. There's more. So consider when you remove a camera, for example, the opposite of putting a camera in. People in that space that had previously been surveilled are now responsible for their own choices in a very large and very specific way. They know that they are, if they believe that there's no surveillance happening anymore, they are suddenly tasked with the job of behaving well versus reporting their behavior and having it judged. Okay, there's a big difference. The job has shifted. The role and responsibility, the impression of whose responsibility it is to behave well has shifted when you put a camera somewhere. It becomes a centralized function of some system or an authority. And if a person can then get away with something without being reprimanded or punished, it becomes proper behavior, unofficially or officially. So I just think it's interesting to note that the job part of it is completely overlooked. People don't understand this at all. I've never heard this once in my life, that by putting a camera somewhere, suddenly it's no longer the person's responsibility anymore to behave well. Because if you think about it, it makes sense. You're delegating the system of behavior to a centralized authority, whoever's managing that camera, etc. So my question becomes, while you're telling people what to do and waving a stick and a camera in their face, what do you expect? I mean, is that even possible? Is it possible to cover all those bases? Is it possible to cover an edge case without creating a new edge case? The answer is no. There's always going to be an edge case. There's always going to be edge and corner cases, actually. And I think that this is a clue, right? There's clues as to what a good working system should look like. And going in the direction of micromanagement seems counterproductive to me for a lot of reasons, not just this one, but many, many reasons. So I think the best course is to empower people, teach them how to behave well, give them incentives to behave well, empower autonomy, enable autonomy, so that people can actually, understand first and foremost that it's their job to behave well, because if they don't, no one else will. And until that happens, there's always going to be those edge cases. The onus has to be on the individual, or else it's going to find an edge somewhere. And they're going to get away with stuff. They're going to try to get away with stuff because it's not their job to even behave well. It's someone else's job, if we're being honest. So something to think about. Reach out with questions or comments to whitehotrobot@gmail.com. Thank you.